About the data. So as I mentioned in the instructions that I have provided the same data set in two different formats. So if you go in your Windows Explorer, so in the computer, if you just open a folder, this is called the Windows Explorer, right? So if you look at the folder, this is the Lab 0 folder, and I have created a bunch of files already, but you will also have a data folder. In the data folder, you will see that there is the map template that you are supposed to create. There is shp_files, that's the shapefile format, and the data_gdb.gdb. So these are the two file formats, although all the files, individual data files that are listed are inside the folder. So first let's start with the SHP called shapefiles. If you go into the file, if you go into this folder, you will see that there are a bunch of files available here. But there seems to be a lot of duplicate names. However, if you see the extension, pay close attention to these details. These extensions or the type of files are different. That means these are not duplicate files. Rather, these are extension of a single file. So these, let's say, files together, how many items are there? Let's say 8 of these items together create one shapefile. Shapefile was kind of the native format for ArcGIS Pro. Native vector data format, and we will learn more about different vector data formats in our lectures in a week. But this is how it looks like. But when you open this folder through ArcGIS Pro, so this is the catalog window. So if you go to the view catalog pane, this pane shows up. And I'm in here in the same place. You can see the path here. So pay close attention to the path name. Okay. This is the same folder, shapefile folder. And if you expand, it's just one file, right? That means ArcGIS knows how to read these individual files, and it combines the information and just shows you the exact shapefile. Cities are, this is the vector file, and the only one is the DEM, which is the topographic file. That's the raster file, right? So we have 4 vector files, and in this folder you will see, except the DEM, the rest of the files are all vector files, but these individual files are made up of 7 or 8 different subfiles. And the problem is that if you're trying to copy paste, and let's say you're selecting and copy pasting like this, and if you forgot to, let's say, select one of the files, your file is destroyed. It's messed up. So we always avoid navigating shapefiles or geospatial data files via Windows Explorer. We are always going to use catalog, this catalog pane here, to move around geospatial or spatial data files. Okay, so that's something that you have to keep in mind every time we work with spatial data. So that's your shapefile, and you need to learn about this is because most of the files, if you look at it, if it's like a little bit older file, or if you're doing some historical data analysis, a lot of the older files are still in the shapefile format because this is the native ArcGIS or ESRI's vector data format. The next type of file you will see is, or the folder, is the data_gdb.gdb. So in here, this is some gibberish, right? This is like in the other folder, it at least made sense. Like these name made sense. The name kind of corresponds to the same name we see here. But I said that these are duplicate files. However, if you go into the GDB, we don't see those names at all. It's all gibberish, right? Because this is very much ArcGIS ArcGIS Pro, like it's a closed data system, therefore Windows cannot read these files. But if you open it up in catalog, so you have the data underscore gdb.gdb, you can see the same set of files, and you can see these are gray in colors, and these are technically called feature classes. And again, we will talk and learn more about these feature classes, feature data set later on, but just you recognize right now that these are two different data formats. And most of the time you are going to use or create or work with the GDB. Every time you load and unload or run any geoprocessing, everything will be saved in the lab 0 GDB, which is created, or lab GDB, which is created when you create this workspace. This is an additional GDB you can add if you have all your data in a different container. GDB, or geodatabase as it's called, is a container basically where you can save all different sorts of data sets. Okay, so you have a raster and all sorts of feature class. So these are the two different data formats. We can always import and export between these two data formats. We don't need to do it right now, but these are some of the capabilities you have, and you need to learn about these things. We will work through the labs in different steps. You will encounter these export, import, and in your final project, again, you will definitely do a bunch of these steps. This is just part and parcel of working with spatial data set, going back and forth between different data formats.